1973, off the Ivory Coast, a Vulture actually collided with one of the engines in a commercial plane, forcing the pilot to make an emergency landing. Now, my friend, that in itself may not be a surprise to you, but when you stop and realize that aircraft was at 37,000 feet, it's an amazing fact. Typically, Vultures fly to around 20,000 feet, but as you probably already know, some go higher. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at our Vulture friends and examine some interesting facts on why they need to fly high and just why they are such an important bird. Okay, so exactly what do vultures do? As you may already know, they usually feed on dead or decaying animal carcasses. But exactly how do they find these carcasses? You probably already guessed it. They take off and fly to a very high altitude. But how does this very large bird, some with a wingspan of over 10 feet, get all the energy to fly, sometimes many miles above the ground? Well, they take advantage of warm air thermals that push them higher and higher. Then they actually circle in the air looking for more and more thermals and can soar for many hours without flapping their wings even one time. Let's say you're a vulture flying at 21,000 feet on a thermal while looking for a dead carcass. Exactly how are you going to spot one from that far away? How are you going to know it's dead? And how are you going to know it's ready to be eaten? At these incredible heights, vultures can spot 3 feet wide carcasses. Now, to you and me, that's like standing at the end of a football field and spotting a marble at the other end about 320 feet away and also identifying its color and determining if you like it or not. Once the vulture has spotted its meal, other vultures may also have noticed the same carcass. So they all start their descent. Upon arrival, the vultures ensure the meal is truly dead by poking its eyes to see if it moves. It very rarely will feed on anything that's living. Vultures are mostly social creatures, and they'll share that carcass with the other vultures. A vulture can consume up to 20% of its body weight in one feeding. And did you know that their digestive system contains special acids that can dissolve things like anthrax and botulism and cholera bacteria? So obviously they are not harmed by eating dead and rotting carcasses. In fact, their heads and necks do not even contain any feathers. Now, why would that be? Simply because when feeding, having a featherless head prevents any toxic waste from getting stuck in positions that it cannot clean itself. They could never reach their beak behind their head to even clean it. So after feeding, the vulture picks out of its body any remaining food, and then it perches somewhere, allowing the hot sunlight to bake off and clean its featherless head. Well, what about those legs? The vulture can get quite hot, and its legs also can get contaminated with blood and other rotting objects as it walks all over its meal. It just so happens that the vulture's urine contains similar bacteria-killing items as its stomach acid. So upon urinating on its legs, this liquid both cleans them from nasty bacteria and allows them to cool when it evaporates. Okay. So why not just get rid of these strange-looking creatures who feed on dead carcasses? Well, imagine one day you decide to stop taking out the trash in your home. And instead, after each meal, you just scrape the leftover food onto the kitchen floor and then threw half-eaten hamburgers into the living room and just hope for the best. Of course not. In India, to treat sickly cattle, a special anti-inflammatory drug was often used. If the cattle still died, guess what? That's right, our vulture friends found it and devoured all of it, clean to the bone. The problem, though, is that this anti-inflammatory drug actually killed those feeding vultures. And over time, their population has decreased from 40 million to only 60,000 in India. And this has become a major health concern for India's population because there are less vultures and the same amount of carcasses that still need to be eaten. Now there are more dogs, rats, and other creatures that both carry their own diseases and can't eat those carcasses clean to the bone, and it's causing a wider spread of diseases in India itself. In fact, did you know that highest cases of rabies in the world now occur in India? On top of that, other diseases such as TB, anthrax, foot and mouth disease result from rotting carcasses that are not eaten fully by vultures. So did vultures evolve over a long time? If that's true, my friend, what animal took their place to completely clean out rotting carcasses to stop the spread of disease? As you have learned, no other creature does what this vulture does. And how about their featherless heads, their keen insight, their amazing digestive system, and large wingspread? Did they all develop over eons of time? Our vulture friends are vital garbage collectors and need all these traits working at the very same time. Or is it just possible that somehow these critical traits were designed all at once by a master creator? How and why did they get here? My friend, you